Good morning, everyone. This is Joanne Chestnut coming to you from my home to yours. I'm on a little early this morning because I had a feeling my day was going to take off, so I wanted to get some things taken care of this morning. I know that it's a holiday weekend. So I want to talk first. I want to read the scripture first. I'm coming out of Exodus 17, verse 8. It says, The Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites at Rephidim. Moses said to Joshua, Choose some of our men and go out to fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hands. Verse 10. So Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses had ordered, and Moses, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning. But whenever he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. When Moses' hands grew tired, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. Aaron and Hur held up his hands, one on one side and one on the other, so that his hands remained steady until sunset. So Joshua overcame the Amalekites' army with the sword. Verse 14 says, Then the Lord said to Moses, Write this on a scroll as something to be remembered, and make sure that Joshua hears it, because I will completely blot out the name of the Amalek from under the sun. That's the Amalekites. Verse 15, it says, Moses built an altar and called it, The Lord is my banner. He said, because hands were lifted up against the throne of the Lord will be a war against the Amalekites from generation to generation. So when I read that, my first question is, who's fighting with you and who's holding your hands up? Because surely as we go forward, we're almost 6 months into the year, and we haven't been able to even account for some of the time because we got so distracted from the quarantine. So what are some of the things that you had in your heart that you wanted to do before this quarantine? You know, those New Year's resolutions you set, those things that you said, this year I'm going to go to the gym. This year I'm going to start writing my memoir. This year I'm going to travel out of the country. What are some of those things that you set out to do that you haven't done? What little steps can you take to move forward as we right where we are with no change, with the coronavirus still being there? What can you do now? Because I know that I have given this a lot of thought. And the one thing that I want to say is that we've been talking about teams and team building and having a good team and a strong team to work with you, because some of the things that you want to accomplish, yes, you need a team. Even if it's a travel team, if it's a work team, whatever it is, you need a team. You need somebody on your side for you to reach your goals. No one man is an island of his own, and this is where we get trapped up at. So I was talking to my daughter this morning, and she said, Mommy, I keep remembering the saying, one fist can strike a mighty blow. And that is so true. But if you strike that blow, what are you doing? Are you striking a blow to win, or are you striking a blow for destruction? Are you striking a blow that is going to destroy things around you, that is going to damage and hurt your family? Or are you striking a blow that moves obstacles for your family, that moves obstacles for your plan? Because you need to figure out who's holding your hands up. And in this season, if you've been surrounded by people who are not holding your hands up, you might need to reevaluate that. What are some of the goals that you know that you wanted to accomplish? That if you were told tomorrow you have no more time, what are some of the things that you would want to do with your family, with your friends, in your work life, in your spiritual life? Do those things. Those people who always say, I want to learn how to read the Bible, get it and start. What better time now than to start reading the Bible? What better time now than to start having family meetings with your family? I'll tell you what, as a people, as a Black people, if we don't start to work together a little bit more, if we don't start to have some cooperative economics and to spend our money in Black places, if we don't start to communicate better, the biggest thing is if we don't start communicating better, we're going to fail. Massive failure, more than we think we have before. More than what we've already failed, it's going to be massive failure, because as you can see, the times are really changing. And in this coronavirus, who was affected the most? Black people, right? And a lot of times when that happens, it's because what? We don't read, we don't listen, we fail to communicate. But our biggest thing is we fail to communicate. Every day that I learned something that I thought I knew, whether it was accurate information or not, I readily shared it with my family. As soon as I knew that people could spread this virus and they were asymptomatic, readily I shared that, ran to share it with my family and tell them. So who are we talking to? Who's holding up our hands? Whose hands are we holding up? Are you holding up the hands of the wrong team? Are you helping other people reach their goals while yours are latent? Are you helping other people grow and develop while you are not? Whose hands are you holding up, and who's holding up your hands? Who's helping you get to that next step? Are you being around people that when you go lay down at night, you know for sure that this is not a team that you want to be with, but you're not doing anything about it? Have some courage. Step out. Step out and do something you haven't done before. It's insanity to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. Let me tell you, people, you have to teach people how to treat you. You have to teach people how to interact with you, because they won't know what to do if you don't show them. If you allow people to be a part of your life and they add nothing, they will stay there as dead weight, and you will be carrying that dead weight. I know I don't want to carry any dead weight. Do you want to carry dead weight? When you think about one fist can strike a mighty blow, right? And you think about where I remember that from, it probably came before then, but I remember that from Soul Food. And you remember that the cousin was sleeping around with her cousin's husband and things were going on, and the mother died. And one little boy did one action to just bring his family together. And it took a tragedy like the mother dying and the house catching on fire for them to find triumph in one another, for them to come together. What will it take for you to come together with your family? We got so many old grudges. I bet you right now, some people that you don't even talk to in your family, you can't even remember why y'all don't speak. You can't even remember. And that passes down from parents to children. Two sisters didn't get along, and they tell their kids how much they didn't get along, and their kids see those interactions. Then their kids get older and their kids don't get along, and that's right in the same family. Let me tell you where this kind of stuff comes from. Everything came out of the Bible. Nothing new has happened under the sun, right? This comes from people being at odds from childhood, and it passes on, right? So you see here when God told Moses to write it down, he said, then the Lord said to Moses, write this on a scroll as something to be remembered, and make sure that Joshua hears it, because I will completely blot out the name of the Amaleks from under heaven. Well, guess what? That one big sin that Saul made was to not go and kill the Amalekites. So something that started so long ago, because I'm reading here, and this is in the book of Exodus, this is in the days of Moses, right? So when we all the way ahead for Saul, right? When we're all the way ahead with Saul, we're in the time of kings. And something that started way back then, way back here, went all the way and never got resolved. And guess what? Even when you make your way up to the book of Esther, right? And that Haman is a descendant of the Amalekites. So see, when you don't squash stuff from the beginning, it grows. But squashing it requires for us to deal with it. It requires us to communicate. It requires us to hash it out and get rid of it. Because if you don't, surely, as I said, it'll run down the generations. And you'll look and you see families at Easter and at Christmas and at Thanksgiving and in buckets. These family members only hang over here and they stay with each other, and these families hang over here, and people are dying. And people are dying. And instead of us holding up each other's hands and holding each other up to fight together and strike a mighty blow, we're striking against each other instead of with each other. So I submit to you today to ask you, who is holding up your hands, and whose hands are you holding up? If you know that you're holding up somebody's hands that is not going to go anywhere, do yourself a favor and come away from that. Even if being alone is the only option that you have, choose that before you choose to hold up the hands of somebody that you're not going to go anywhere with, that you're not going to be a part of in a year from now, that you know is not going to go forward and amount to anything. If the people who are holding your hands up, or for that matter, people who are around you who are not holding your hands up, release yourself. And better yet, release them. Why stay in a circle of people where you're not growing and you're not developing? Why? Because I used to tell my daughters all the time, and they laugh at this. I used to tell them, you hang with 9 losers, you're the 10th one. Don't fool yourself. You hang with 9 losers and you are surely the 10th loser. You can't be any bigger than the circle you're in. You won't go any further than the people that you hang around. You will not be a big fish in a small pond. You will just drown or suffocate from being outside of the water. Go around and hang around people who are where you already want to be. I used to say this all the time. If you were going to Sears to buy a gift for a baby shower, and you asked the clerk in the store, what floor is the gifts for the baby items? And they said the 5th floor. Would you get on the escalator and pass the 5th floor and go to the 6th? Or get off on the 4th and not go to the 5th? What if the 4th floor had tires? Would you get off and go to the tires after you're looking for baby stuff? No, you wouldn't, because what you're looking for, it's not there. You see, when Barack Obama wanted to become president, what did he do? He became a senator first. He hung around those things that he wanted. He stayed around people who were in the direction that he was going, who already acquired what he wanted. He connected to those who were already on the path or had already accomplished it. Don't surround yourself with people and then you make yourself feel bigger. How? By surrounding yourself around people who you feel are less than you. What does that say about you? What does that say about you when you hang with a bunch of people that you think you're so much better than? Do you know it's some people that are really happy with you as long as you don't have nothing they have? It's some people, they was cool with you as long as you stayed single and they had a husband. They didn't want you to have no husband and praying for your demise of your marriage. There are some people that was good with you as long as you didn't have a car and they gave you a ride. As long as you stayed beneath them. But don't start doing what they're doing. It's some people who love you in ministry. They love going to church with you, or they love you coming to their church. But as soon as you start doing and these very people you support. But as soon as they start looking and seeing you doing something that looks similar to theirs, they got an issue because they have a mindset of one. You need to be surrounded with people who understand that what God has for you is for you, and what God has for them is for them. And together we strike a mighty blow, not with lip service, not with just saying it. You can make your mouth fried chicken. You can make your mouth say anything, but I don't watch people's mouth. I watch their footwork. I want to see what you actually do. So you can talk all day long about what you can do, what you gonna do, what you know you're capable of, but what are you really doing? What are the people in your life really? Are you hanging with people that just turn up with you? They just party with you. Outside of that, if you feeling down and depressed, you got to stay home and suck that up. You can't even tell them about it. They can't handle no other emotion of yours besides drinking and partying. You going through it, you can't even call them and talk to them. Or do you hang with people who only accept you when you're going through, when you feel better all of a sudden and you're getting better? I remember being in a situation like that before, with someone much happier with me as long as I was down or sick and long as I needed them. When I was raising up again and doing better, and in my mind and my heart, wanting to show gratitude to this person for being there for me when I was sick, it's almost like they couldn't stand me to get better. They needed the relationship to stay based on me needing them for what they were providing. And you will see how relationships change when all of a sudden what you were offering is not available, or what they was giving is not available. You could test your relationships out with that and see, where do you really stand? If you got a bunch of people that are in your life who you can't really be truly who you are, they are not going to lift your hands up. You can't even lift their hands up. You need to remove yourself and don't let the next 6 months of this year go forward with you doing the same things and thinking you're going to get the same result. If you got somebody who's really treating you bad, you don't have to stop loving them. You don't have to stop loving them, but you can take a distance and a break so that you can reevaluate what you need to do with those relationships. Old beefs that you have with people, decide that you're going to get rid of that in your heart first, because it got to go away in your heart. And if it's possible, confront those people and try to resolve those issues, because guess what? Your biggest blessings are going to come in your forgiveness. I'll tell you one thing. You check out those who don't forgive. Check out those who hold a grudge. They end up sick as a dog. Anything that I've ever been sick from is from something that came from, because it's surely, I don't give anybody power over my life for me to hold a grudge. I don't give anybody that kind of power and authority for me to hold a grudge, because I know that that bitter root that rises up in me is going to kill me before it kills them. It's like having a bitter root in you is like taking poison and hoping the other person die from it. And it will destroy you from the inside out and give you all kind of disease from the inside, not a virus or bacteria, disease from the inside caused from stress and discourse. So figure out who your team really is. As I said yesterday, what team are you on? See who you're striking blows with and what that blow is doing and who's holding your hands up and whose hands are you holding up. This is my 15 minutes of faith. I sure hope you got something out of it. If it's God's will, I'll see you again tomorrow.